So I'd been fighting with real deal champions for a couple months, and they didn't have too many 135ers, but they had plenty. And so I was getting ready for my third fight, and then they hit me up like a week before, like, hey, we're gonna make this a title fight. I was like, oh snap. So that means like it's gonna be 5 rounds. You're gonna be closer to the main event, like up later in the night. And after 5 rounds, you will be titled a real deal champion from the 135 division. So meaning out of all the 135ers, I'm the one that's like, he knows what he's doing. This is the guy you want to try and
Mhm.
be up to and get that competition with and fight with.
Mm.
So that was back in September of 2023. So almost a year ago is whenever I got that belt and won the title.
Okay. And when you knew that you had to defend your title this last time, what was figuring that out like? Or did it worry you at all once you knew that? Or
It worried me. The thing is like I wasn't necessarily asked to fight. I wanted to do another fight. And so we hit up the organization like, hey, can we get another fight? What's y'all's lineup looking like? And the promoter, his name's Dewan, he was like, yeah, absolutely. We'll get you a fight. And so I'm just expecting kind of what I had always done, like going in, going 3 rounds, let's do this. When they found me an opponent and then they made the poster, they were like, title fight. I was like, oh, snap, it's legit. I'm having to defend my title,
Mhm.
which it wasn't a surprise. I kind of had that in the back of my mind, knowing that's what was going to happen. But the fact that it was like on paper, it was official, like this is going to be a title defense. So I
Uh-huh.
was asking to fight. I was pretty much asking to put my title on the line just so I could get some more experience fighting. Because it wasn't them calling me out, them asking, like, hey, we need you to defend this. This is, you got to prove it now. This was me wanting to do that.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting. I didn't want to not fight just so I can keep my precious belt. I wanted to fight to get better. I'm not just doing it because, like, I'm angry. I want to go beat somebody up. It's like, I need to know that I'm doing the right things. I'm getting better. I've learned something. I can put that into what I'm doing.
Or we can point that back as well.
We good there?
Yeah.
All right.
As long as it's pointed at your mouth. Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, so you said it's not because you're angry. How'd the fight go? Did you get angry during it?
I didn't get angry during it, but it's a focused
Mhm.
mindset. Like I'm aggressive, but not angry. There's a difference there. So when I'm angry, like I just want to throw something, right? But aggressive meaning I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to make sure what I want to happen happens, and this guy's not going to stand in the way of my goal. So I'm aggressive.
Mm.
I'm getting what I want, but I'm not angry at him
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah. I remember talking to you a little bit about it before, and you said that you weren't necessarily friends, but by the end of it, you were kind of friends in a way.
Yeah, and that was the cool thing about it is we go to weigh in the day before, and so we're gonna meet each other, we're gonna take a picture, and we're nice and respectful. So before we even weighed in, we like made eye contact across the room, went up to each other, shook hands, like, hey, it's gonna be a good fight, looking forward to it. But I'm not trying to be this guy's friend at the moment. I don't want to know what he does for a living. I don't want to know where he comes from. I don't want to know how the drive was. I'm not your friend. Right now, you are standing in the way. And so there's still that respect. Like the day of the fight, we shook hands, even gave each other a little hug, like, hey man, may the best guy win. I was like, may the best guy win. It's all respectful, but like in that whole night, it's like I have a plan to hurt this guy. It's not I'm not touching him.
Mhm.
It's a fight. I'm trying to hurt this guy. And so we do the fight and all that. But right after, I went up to him and I was like, hey dude, that was a great fight. I'm so glad you came out to do this. He was a dad. And I told him myself, I was like, dude, I have a lot of respect for you that you're a father and you're still out here chasing your goals and doing what makes you happy while providing for your kids. So it was nice and respectful. And then we even caught up later in the parking lot and we are just like catching up with each other. I met his wife, he met my girlfriend, and we were just talking and having a good time. And so I wouldn't say we're like the best of friends,
Mhm.
hanging out and gonna meet up next week. But I mean, we're friends on Facebook. We keep up with each other. And that's how it's been with all of the guys I fought. We keep up with each other, but we're not like the
Yeah.
best of friends,
Yeah. Yeah. You all have your own crews and people that you train with. Man, so this is kickboxing, just for everyone listening, what we're talking about. You mentioned hurting your opponent, which just like caught my ear because, I'm doing jujitsu with you as well. And Been doing it for 6 months. But hurting my opponent isn't something that you ever really want to do in jiu-jitsu, right?
Well, no, not with me
Even
and
in a
you.
competition. Or are you trying? So like, I haven't done a jiu-jitsu competition, but what is your? Have you? Have you like done any of those comps that they do?
I haven't competed in jujitsu.
Okay.
No, I've just only competed in boxing and kickboxing, so only striking.
Yeah.
So
So I guess we're really talking about the difference between striking and grappling. Someone who's done both, someone hasn't done both. What's the big mindset differences you bring in?
So the number one difference for me is when I'm grappling, I think grappling is great, or jujitsu. I think it's great for self defense. Like, how can I stand my ground? How can I be the guy that doesn't throw the punch and make sure that I'm going to stay safe? And what's interesting about jujitsu is that you can kind of, while you're defending yourself or practicing, you can monitor how hard you need to go. If like let's say we're doing jujitsu and I'm in a position where I'm holding you down,
Hmm.
I can kind of monitor. Do I just need to let you calm down for a little bit? Like, hey, dude, let's talk this out, calm down, catch a breath. Or maybe it's going a little further than it needs to go. And maybe I got to put you to sleep for a minute, Not trying to get too dark. But, like if you're trying to harm me, you know, if we can get real for a second, like let's say you're at a bar and maybe you had too much to drink and like, hey, you're starting to hurt some people. Do I need to hold you down, let you calm down, maybe just wait for the police to show up? Or
Yeah.
is it how much are you going to try and hurt me? And do I need to like make sure that the threat isn't a thing anymore? So with jujitsu, I feel like you can monitor how far you need to go. With striking, my intention is to hurt you. Like I'm a weapon. I'm going to do something to you. So I'm not just going to poke you because you're not going to care about that. I got to get you to respect
Hmm.
that aspect of it.
So from the sport end of it, what are the mindset differences you have to bring to like a training session for striking versus a training session for grappling?
For a sport aspect, if I'm going to compete,
Just not even compete, just like regular, weekly training. Do you bring a? We can start there and then go up to competition.
I got you. So the training difference I would have is for me, I feel like I'm better at striking. So how can I perfect my game? Like what little things can I work on to get better? The things I already know.
Hmm.
For grappling, I'm okay at it. I'm not the best at it. So I'm going in there to learn completely new knowledge and make sure I'm doing the right thing. Striking, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. I just want to perfect it. But grappling, what can I learn today? What can I use and add to my game? And so one is kind of cleaning and dusting off and polishing what I have. Another for grappling is me collecting the knowledge and seeing what more I can learn and what more I can use.
Yeah.
So that's my difference when I go in.
Okay. It's again, as someone who hasn't done any striking, it sounds more painful maybe than grappling, and like that I could get hurt easier doing that. Maybe I don't know. I haven't done it, but you don't train full intensity, full
No,
contact. But when you go into a competition, you do. How did it feel the day after your last competition?
this one, after this fight, I had a bruised up face. I had a black eye, some spots all over. And I was a little sore, but not as sore as I anticipated. So I was bruised, my jaw kind of hurt, but other than that, I was okay. Like I took a week to relax. I still would come to the gym and work and train, but I didn't spar because that's a big thing too. Is like I don't want to take unnecessary damage. So after I do a fight, I will take a break from sparring to make sure like my brain is still going to work because that's important for me. I don't want to just keep getting hit in the head and do that consistently. I only want to do it when necessary.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. So you have an upcoming IKF fight, which is the International Kickboxing Federation. Is this one that you were asked to do? Is this defending your title at all, or is this a completely different league? I guess, or
Yeah,
what do they call this?
so that's a different league. My title is with Real Deal Champions here in Arkansas, but IKF, that's international. So that's within the whole nation. And I believe even people out of the US come to compete in that. And so we weren't asked to come to it. It's kind of like you can go and do it yourself
Hmm.
almost,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. This is the international stage. Is this like the UFC of kickboxing? I guess is this the biggest league within the kickboxing
It could be for amateurs. For amateurs, yeah.
amateurs? Okay.
Like there's definitely bigger ones out there for professionals, but for amateurs, this is
Okay.
the one that you
So
want to get.
whoever wins this might one day end up in that professional.
Potentially, and that is the goal.
That's the goal for you.
It is.
Okay. And what's your favorite fighting movie?
My favorite fighting movie,
Yeah.
I think it's Rocky.
Rocky.
Dude, whenever I'm up in the morning, like we get up at 6 in the morning, we go run 5 miles. I put on the Rocky playlist, Gonna Fly Now. Like,
You do that every day?
not every day. No, I run a lot throughout the week, not every day, but once a week I go on a longer run,
Yeah.
and that's whenever I'm definitely putting that Rocky playlist on.
Okay. Have you always been a runner? Just growing up?
No,
No. So
no.
let's go back to like the first time you started training then, or the first time you got to running. What was your mile time like versus what it is now?
So my mile time was probably like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but
About me.
hey, dude, at least you're getting there.
Yeah.
I don't think the time too much matters. I think the fact that you did it, that's what's important.
I'm much so the reason I'm asking, so what's your mile time now?
Shoot, dude, 7:40.
Okay.
It ain't the
7:40.
fastest, but
But it's respectable. You know, I think the fastest I've ever done was mid 8 minutes. Um, so 7:40 to me, that's good, very good. I've never done that. Everyone has the capacity. This is what I've learned by doing jujitsu: is you have the capacity to change. Like versus where I was just 6 months ago. I feel like I've come a long way. Even just like my body, just like getting skinned up on the mat. That doesn't happen anymore. But Obi just started jujitsu, and the other day he commented, "Man, I'm getting all these spots on my body where like I'm bleeding." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that happened to me too. It doesn't happen anymore. I didn't even notice it. It just stopped happening." But I'm a slow runner. I mean, I guess I'm more of like a distance. Like I'll get there, but it may take me longer. But I guess you could probably change that too, because you've gone from 10 minutes to 7:40. What was the big difference? It's just doing it more, specifically trying to go faster, or just going on jogs, or what'd you do?
so consistency was part of it, but also different styles. So some days I would just do sprints for like, I don't know, like 20 feet or something, do that 10 times. And then a big thing that I'm a fan of, this is what I currently am doing, is I will do a modern jog for about 2 minutes. And then I have an interval timer just running through while I'm running.
Mm.
And then once that 2 minute mark hits for 40 seconds, I'm going to run. And then after that 40 seconds, it's right back to jogging. So it's moderate. We're going intense. It's moderate. We're going intense. And so that kind of keeps me going and then actively recovering.
Mm.
And then throughout time, I've just not naturally, but I've adapted to going faster, pushing harder, and then being able to catch my breath while I'm still going.
Yeah.
So that for me, that's been my biggest helpful factor is not just pushing myself through one pace, but forcing that pace to come out and then slowing that pace back down to catch my breath, even though I'm still running.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I've kind of experienced that. Just at least the ability to kind of rest at slower speeds versus when I first started, I would have to completely stop. Like the slow speed was the most intense thing I could be doing. Um, that's cool. That is cool. So when it comes to running, like, do you ever run long distances?
Yeah. So one of my favorites to do, this is a longer distance. It's nothing crazy. I'm not doing marathons. I'm not running like 20 miles. I'm not even running 10 miles. But one of my favorite long distance runs to do is Mount Nebo. And so,
Like the road?
yeah, the
Going
whole
up.
mountain.
Yeah.
And so, the Dollar General, right before you get onto that, what's the highway? 124, I think. We just called it Nebo Road growing up, but when you start at the
You
bottom,
get in Dardanelle, you go right, and there's a Dollar General over there.
there's a Dollar General and it's
Okay.
before the vet shop.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll park at the Dollar General, or my girlfriend really, she'll drop me off at the Dollar General.
And you'll run from there.
From there, and then we get to the base of the mountain,
Yeah.
and then she's waiting for me because there's like a little parking area.
Mhm.
And so she'll wait for me to make sure I'm still okay. I'll catch my breath, get a quick drink, and then I run up the mountain. And that's pretty hard. Like there's moments I can't actually run because it's so steep.
Yeah.
I have to like take jumping steps with it. But that's my favorite long distance run to do is from Dollar General to the top of Mount Nebo to the where the pool area is,
Yeah.
and then look up.
Do you ever see other people doing it with you? Just passing other runners? No.
They're walking down and they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, "What's he doing?" But that's my favorite to do. It's fun because people will pass me in like their trucks going up. And then when I finally get to the top and they see me, they're like, "Whoa, dude, that was crazy. What are you doing?" And it's a lot of fun to just kind of get that reaction.
Yeah. Do a lot of people think you're crazy for doing what you do?
Yeah. My neighbors think I'm crazy too because I shadow box in my parking lot in my apartment complex.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I'm out there fighting an imaginary ghost, they're like, "Okay, dude, you just keep doing your thing." But some people think I'm crazy because I'm either running up Nebo or shadow boxing in the middle of a parking lot at like 2 p.m. or sometimes in
Yeah.
the morning. But
But that's what you got to do if you want to, you said your goal is to go professional, right?
exactly.
Go to the very top. What is so like the end goal for you? What is the very top? I mean, is that like if there was no limit to what you could accomplish, and there may not be, there may be no limit, but if let's just say no limitations on even your own mindset, where would you want to go? Like UFC or
Probably not UFC because I'm not a big MMA guy. I watch MMA, I like MMA. But if we're talking about my ultimate goal as a fighter, what organization I want to do with, I'd probably want to go with One Championship. You ever heard of them?
I feel like I have. Yeah, so again, I'm pretty new to this whole world, 6 months in, but yeah, I feel like I've come across that one online.
So what they do is they get champions that are already champions in other organizations and put them together. They're not just going to have a rookie who's
Mhm.
making their like second pro fight. These are people that have been fighting
In kickboxing or boxing or what?
kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, sometimes just grappling. And so they do different sports. That's what's really interesting. Rather than it just being MMA,
Mhm.
they will have some sanctioned fights that are kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA. And then sometimes they will get fighters that are primarily an MMA fighter, primarily a Muay Thai fighter. And they do unique fights like round one, we're going to do Muay Thai. Round two, we're going to do MMA.
So it's really just the rule set, right? Like, hey, here's what you can do in the fight, and here's what's banned, essentially.
Throughout the rounds, yeah, they'll change it throughout the rounds.
Yeah.
That they don't do that for every fight,
It's pretty cool.
but they do that with certain fighters.
What if is it based on what the fighters know? Like, what if one fighter has no experience with Muay Thai, or at that level, is it pretty common that they have? To get to that level, maybe you have to just have experience across the board with different arts.
At that level, I feel like they got some experience with all of it, but
Yeah.
they have a profession in one or the other.
Yeah. Okay. What's Muay Thai like versus kickboxing?
So I like to say this. Muay Thai is kickboxing, but kickboxing is not Muay Thai.
So kickboxing is kind of the parent, I guess, and Muay Thai came out of that. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So kickboxing, that kind of came from karate and taekwondo, and they put it to a actual combative level, which it's always been, but they put it to a combative sport level. And so when it first started, it was just waist up. You can only kick and punch from the waist up. And then Muay Thai came along from Thailand, and then they introduced leg kicks. I don't know if you've been kicked in the leg, it hurts. It's probably worse than getting punched, I will say. But they introduced leg kicks, a clinch, which is when you can, it's like standing grappling, knees and elbows. And so there's a lot more to it, but the same principles apply. I can't elbow you, I can't clinch you in kickboxing, but I can kick you in the leg like in Muay Thai. But in Muay Thai, all the things I could do in kickboxing, I could do in Muay Thai.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
So I don't want to say one's limited. It kind of opens the door to more risky moves
Yeah.
that I could get away with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, it really it's really striking to me because just listening to you talk about like martial arts and how you're approaching, the different disciplines, completely different than me. And I'm sure it's completely different than everyone else. Like we all have our own unique way of, I don't know, I just do it because it's letting me stay in shape and like I feel like way more in tune with my body, being able to especially balance, which is cool. But you're out here with the mindset of a competitor, so it's cool to see the difference. Is what I'm trying to say. Um, and for anyone listening, like you can approach martial arts without the mindset of Howie, or without my mindset. So you can have your own, of why you do it. I guess.
Do you feel more confident just in your day-to-day life now that you've done jujitsu for a while?
More confident in the day, like in what way?
Like that, do you carry like a different attitude when you kind of wake up? Like you don't have to, do you feel different like mentally anyway? Like you feel more positive?
So before I got to jujitsu, I had been going to the gym 3 to 5 times a week for about a year. So I'd say that got me into the physical fitness side of things, and I definitely since then have woken up feeling different, more positive, feel different, just more confident, 100%. Honestly, jujitsu, I've stopped going to the gym now in the past like 5 months and just purely doing jujitsu and like just getting outside, hiking and running, that kind of thing. Um, I'd say that my body's more beat up.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it's getting better, but I injured my back,
I remember that. Yeah.
which lasted way longer than I thought it would, like 6 weeks before it was fully recovered, maybe 8 weeks. Yeah, but in a good way. I mean, it's not like, oh man, I just hate waking up, but my body, I still feel the same level of confidence that I had before, but just a little bit more sore.
I got you. Dude, one thing about you is you've improved a lot. Like you say, like I've only been doing it 6 months, like I'm all good, I'm cool like that. But dude, I don't know if you realize this, but you give me a challenge. Like, yeah, you're taller than me, you're a little bigger than me, but I have more experience on you, but you give me a challenge. And that's what's impressive is that you've spent 6 months of your life doing this, just whether it be for a hobby or healthy. And now that you have some ability to
Yeah.
stand up against someone like me. And that is what's really cool because, you
When
know,
when we're talking about within the rule sets of not striking, yeah, I guess so. We go out on the streets, I'm sure it's going to be a different story.
um, I wanna brag on you for a minute, but this guy's choked me out before. He's got me in a rear naked choke, and I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep unless I tap. So this guy knows what he's doing. You've improved a lot, and so I hope you're at least having fun with it.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely felt a lot of improvement, and you go up against anyone that's more experienced than me. I know there's a lot of cases where people are letting me work, right? They're just, that's part of it, and so that's cool. It's cool to work with people. For the first time, there's a new guy. I won't say his name because he doesn't. I don't know if he wants to be mentioned, but he's cool. He's a new guy that's come to the gym, like in the past few weeks, and I'm just being able to roll with him. I'm like, wow, this is what an untrained. This is where I was 6 months ago.
Mhm.
I have improved a lot because I was able to cook them. That was the first
Yeah.
time. That was the first time I was able to cook someone and not be cooked. It's like, oh, this is kind of fun. And the intensity at which a new person goes, and I'm sure I'm still, got to learn to relax more. But I really was like, for the first couple of months, I felt like at least just like going too hard because I don't know. It's just you're come off the street and now you're doing martial arts, rolling with other guys. You feel like you have to win every roll when that's really after I injured my back, I sort of realized injuring my back is one of the best things that could have happened to me, I think, because it made me slow down and realize like, hey, my body can get hurt. I've never been injured before in my adult life. It can get hurt. And why am I going this hard to begin with? Like I'm just rolling with like, you or Steve or whoever is like, it's a Monday, it's a Monday at noon. Why are we going this hard? Slow down a little bit and learn more. And I feel like I was able to learn a lot more while being injured because I either wasn't rolling at all or just going very lightly. Now that I'm better in the back sense, I think I'm rolling. I don't know. I think I've actually gotten stronger somehow after
Hmm.
having to rest for a while. So I'm having to like catch myself and be like, hey, slow down. Sometimes in the middle of the roll, especially when someone's given you some resistance, with lighter opponents, I really don't want to like just lay on them or like try to outstrength because it's not going to help me, not going to help them. But sometimes the ego gets into it because they'll be like going really hard. It's like, okay, all right, I guess I don't know. It's jujitsu is a fun game,
It's fun. I'll
and
be
you got
honest.
to control your ego throughout the entire process, or else you're not going to get anywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, like man, but like the ego, just how hard are you going this roll? That's your ego.
Like, do I need to take a step back? I don't need to. I don't need to beat this guy right now. Like, once that bell goes off, we're gonna shake hands and be buddies and probably have a laugh after class. I don't need to be trying to hurt you,
Yeah,
but I still got to work my own stuff.
yeah,
And so it's good that you're finding that balance, and it's impressive. But isn't it fun whenever someone new comes in? You're like, oh, I get a chance to test myself.
yeah, yeah. And then if he keeps coming within like a month, he's gonna be way better. It's crazy. If I mean I don't know anyone personally that comes to the noon group that is this way, but I guess you could come to jiu-jitsu and just come to class and then go home and not think about it again until you come back, and then you're going to progress really slowly because you're
Hmm.
not devoting any mental energy to thinking about it. Because I actually did jiu-jitsu a few years ago at the other gym in town, the one that shall not be named, and yeah, that's kind of how I approached it, I think, because I was so out of shape at the time. So like for me, it wasn't just okay, let's learn how to do jiu-jitsu. It's let's learn how to get in shape, and that was just really painful cardio. You know how it
Hmm.
is. Um, so I didn't think I progressed very slowly and ended up dropping out for a lot of reasons. But now the difference this time around has been like when I'm not, especially the first few months when I wasn't in class. I still watch videos all the time, but there for like a few months, I was just like that was all I was watching. Just videos. Like I was just obsessed about it. I still really like it, but I got a lot of things going on, and it's weird. You got to find that balance of what you devote your energy to. Like here you are as a competitor, just a couple of years younger than me, and then like I guess my main focus in life right now is trying to build a home. We're getting some land for my family, and we're going to be building a home and like a future there. So in Yell County, by the way, you live in Yell County, right?
Well, I live in Pope County now, but I grew up
Grew up in
in
Yell
Yale
County.
County.
Yeah, so I'll be crossing the river, going down there. I'm excited. Yell County. I like both counties. I don't have beef against either one.
I
Yell
kind
County's
of,
pretty cool.
as I've grown up, they're both separate, but I do feel like they're united, like they're kind of the same. Like the only thing is the difference is that bridge getting from
Yeah,
Dardanelle to Russellville. But as I've grown up, when I first moved to Russellville, I was like, all right, I'm only here, no more. But then I'm like, as I've like, I have family in Dardanelle, so I love going to Dardanelle
yeah,
and like being put back in that atmosphere. And so it used to be there's Dardanelle, there's Russellville, and of course there's more in Pope and Yale County. But for me, it's just like Dardanelle, Russellville. But now I kind of view them as one thing.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, for me, I've grown up here in Russellville, and I've always kind of viewed the surrounding area as just like, oh yeah, this is. It's not Russellville, but it's where I live at. It's just my community.
yeah,
Going to Dardanelle and go to Dardanelle Rock. I'm
same
sure you've been there.
community. Yeah, that's the right word. Not the same thing, but same community.
Absolutely. The only differences are the ones that we try to convince ourselves of, I guess.
You know, and then kind of backtracking here a little bit, but I remember one thing you asked me, like, what's the ultimate goal?
Yeah.
And, we were talking about one and like what organization I'd like to fight with. But honestly, for me, the ultimate goal when doing martial arts is to be able to make and provide a life for it. And so one day I want to have a family, be married, have kids and a house and that whole thing. For me, the ultimate goal would be if I can provide for my family while doing this, like making money somehow, whether that be professional fighting or being a trainer or just in the industry, that's my ultimate goal because I love it. I love martial arts. I love kickboxing. So if I can form a life around that and find success with it, however you define success, that is my ultimate goal. So maybe I can
Yep.
just be a provider while doing what I love. That is my goal
Yeah, that's a
with
good
it.
one. A lot of ways you could do that. Like you said, from training to honestly, I would guess, and I don't know this for sure, but I'd say there's a good chance that the people that make the most amount of money within the world of martial arts are not the ones competing. They're the ones teaching.
For sure.
If that's your goal, is that's not necessarily a good goal, the most amount of money, but just an observation. Like I think there's more opportunity to make money there, selling your knowledge and experience
Hmm.
and sharing
You,
that with other people.
that's honestly one of the reasons I do fight is one, I like to do it. Like, I like to fight. I like to train. I like to wake up and push myself. I like to know that I'm waking up and training and putting something for a short term reason. Whenever you're going to step into a cage with a guy who's going to try and hurt you, that's a good motivator. I'm not going to lie. Like, I could, like, oh, I'll skip the gym today,
But yeah,
but that guy's not. And
yeah,
I'm going to make sure I'm not. But the ultimate goal and the ultimate reason that I fight is to know that what I'm doing is real and accurate and that I can show people, especially the kids that I teach. That is something I just love to do is whenever we're teaching them something, sometimes it doesn't make sense to them. They're like, well, why are we learning this move? Couldn't I just do this? No, I want to do this. I don't, whatever their reason may be. My ultimate goal is to show that what I'm teaching these kids and adults as well, that what I'm doing is legit and it's real. I'm not just selling you something that I saw on YouTube. This is a trained, it's been tested in the deep water. This stuff is going to work. I want you guys to know that.
it's not bullshito. Right?
Exactly. It's not. It's not a McDojo in here. I'm teaching you guys legit things. And that's what I love, why I love to fight. My style is a little more unique. I kind of base a lot of karate and boxing into my kickboxing style. And so most of the guys I fight, they adapt a Thai style, that Muay Thai style. But when I put my karate and boxing style into it, it's very different. Most of the guys I fight, they try to just kick me hard, swing their legs at me. But I like to be able to kick people in the face, like a hook kick, a side kick, um, and boxing them up a little bit. So, you ever seen like Mike Tyson highlights?
Yeah,
Anything like that?
yeah,
Yeah, we've all seen a little bit of Mike Tyson. How he's always like all over the place, bouncing around. So I adapt a lot of that style because I'm shorter. And so they're not used to seeing that in a kickboxing match. And then that's what I like to teach my boxing classes when I get to teach them. But then in my kickboxing classes, I teach a karate style. It's called the Superfoot system. And so being able to blend a Mike Tyson style with a karate Superfoot style, that gives me my kickboxing aspect. And so whenever you look at the two separate things, people are like, all right, this is a little whack. This isn't what I would picture martial arts being. But then they see me doing it and they're like, okay, this is legit. It's gotten this guy pretty far. And then they want to learn it. So that's one reason I am fighting is to show like this is what's gonna work.
yeah. Do you think that every teacher should compete, has to compete, or has to have done it in the past?
That's a good question, dude. Hitting them with the hard ones.
Yeah. Are they
Dude,
not? Are they fakes if they don't?
I wouldn't say they're fakes. I would definitely want my teacher to have some experience. And I know that the people I train with do. Um, I get to go train with a UFC fighter, TJ Brown, from time to time. That's a lot of fun. I know his stuff works. My coach, Brian, you had him on the podcast before. Um, I mean, the guy opened a whole gym doing what he knows and taught me it. So I know what he has is successful. And he used to be a fighter, MMA and grappler fight and jujitsu fighter. So he's shown me stuff. I know he's had success with it. And then another one of my coaches, Danny Dring, who he has taken people overseas to compete. I think he used to be like on a whole USA team. I don't want to say because I'm not exactly sure, but he used to be a coach for international competition. And so for me, I like to know that what I'm learning works in a fight and has been tested. Is it necessary for them to fight? Maybe not, but it's necessary for it to be challenged.
Hmm.
So maybe that just be sparring or even self defense kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know it's worked before. I don't want to just have a theory from a YouTube video, and that's what I dedicate my style to.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned self defense. Say you're out on the street and like all of a sudden you just get jumped by one person. What do you? What's the move? You know, because I've been trying to think about this. Well, you wouldn't want to pull guard, and get on your back, right? In the sport of jiu-jitsu, that's kind of a valid move because they're not gonna hopefully not start punching you. But like in a real situation, what are you gonna default to first?
I'm gonna run.
Can't run.
But
Can't. You're
exactly.
back. You're in the alley. You're in the alley. It's a dead end.
So
But yeah, run. Absolutely. De-escalate.
de-escalate, run. But exactly, there's gonna be we train for the day we hope never happens, and then it's good to have thought about this before, instead of experience it and then think about it after. For me, if I'm in a self-defense situation, I'm gonna resort to the techniques I know, but it's gonna be modified for a life or death situation. So I don't want to get like too gruesome here. I won't, but for example, like I have a jab and a cross, the old 1-2. I might change that to a eye gouge and a throat punch. I'm not gonna do that in a ring fight,
Mhm.
but I might eye gouge him, go for the throat, and of course, I'm going for the low blow. If I'm in a self-defense situation, I'll admit it, I'm going for a low
So
blow.
you're going for striking.
I'm gonna go for striking
You-
at first.
Okay.
Yeah. Knees, elbows.
Let's say
I'm
you
going for
have
the
no
weak
striking experience
Okay.
and you've just done jujitsu for 6 months. you know what? I don't know what. I mean, I guess a takedown, right? You'd want to take them down hard if you can't run.
I'm not gonna shoot a double leg in the street. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna drop down to my knee. Honestly, what I think would be smart, I've never been in this. Okay, I've been in one self-defense situation. Actually, I've been in a few, but like the one that I ultimately remember, I don't have to get too much into it, but the one time I had to do actual self-defense out in public, what worked for me was getting a tie clinch on the guy. And so that kind of is like grappling, and I can lead to takedowns. What that is I'm grabbing the back of their head, forearms on the neck, and I'm tucking them in here, and I'm controlling them. So
But then their hands are free.
their hands are free, but I have all the control of their head. So I can swing them, I can take them down, I can pull them into my knees.
Hmm.
If they want to throw a punch and I just start moving their head, that punch kind of loses its momentum. And so that's the ultimate idea with the clinch. But I think resulting to grappling would be good. Getting a takedown. I wouldn't shoot for wrestling, but if I can take them down and get some distance, I'm not a professional, so
Take them down and then run.
take them down and run. There's a million different situations, and each one's going to be a little differently. But I would start with doing what I can to get control. So maybe it's controlling their hands, controlling their head, going for the weak spots.
Yeah. 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 Luckily, that's a pretty low risk around here. That's part of. But I guess when you go to where's IKF at? Is that in Vegas?
I'm gonna be going to Las Vegas for
So
that
that's
one.
maybe a bit depending on where you're at in Las Vegas. Start walking around some of the neighborhoods. Or, I don't know. Have you seen the documentary about the tunnel people?
I've seen it online before, but there's a whole documentary.
There's several actually. Yeah, there's a whole civilization in the tunnels. I'm not saying those people would be the people to hurt you, but maybe I have no idea.
I won't break into their home. I'll let them stay there.
I don't like fear mongering. Like have you ever met someone that's like, why would you go to Vegas? You're gonna get robbed. Do you have anyone telling you that? Don't go to Vegas.
I haven't had it with Vegas, but I went to Mexico.
Oh yeah.
And so whenever I went there, a lot of people were telling me not to go there. Like, oh, they're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about that. When we went there, the people were so nice. It was a great community. They were very
Where'd you
welcoming
go?
and inviting. We went to Jalisco, I believe.
Jalisco?
I believe.
Oh, he's over there working on something. I'd ask him where Jalisco is.
So we went. I went with my girlfriend to visit her grandparents. So, not gonna lie, I was just along for the trip, but I think Jalisco is where we were.
Oh, your girlfriend's family is in Mexico?
Yeah,
Okay. You
and
speak
so
any Spanish?
no habla español.
I've been studying it, learning it,
Oh, yeah?
trying to. I'm gotten to the point where like I can understand a decent. I feel like a decent amount that's being said, but my speaking ability, that's listening and speaking are two different skills. I need to practice speaking more, to be honest.
What are you using to learn?
Uh, YouTube, flashcards, music, Chat GPT. Chat GPT is a good. So sometimes it's wrong. Like I'm not, but you can have conversations with it. I don't know if you saw it. They put out a video yesterday of this new update that's coming to it, and it's insane. Like it's just a weird world that we live in now. You can have like it is so human like in its conversational ability, and you can tell it, hey, you're gonna be my Spanish tutor today. I want you to break down these sentences that I just heard. That's usually how I use Chat GPT is I hear a sentence or I see a sentence and I'm like, okay, break this sentence down. And it tells me all the verbs in it and why they're used that way. And then, you know, but then again, that's not helping me necessarily learn how to speak it better because I'm not actually speaking it to a human, which is different. What was I going to look up? Jalisco.
Yeah, I
Jalisco. Obi, have you been to Jalisco? No? Want to? That looks like a cool spot. But that is, yeah, it's on the southwest coast. Were you by the ocean?
no, we were more toward a lake, so we
Okay,
didn't go to the
I see
ocean
the
from there.
big lake.
Yeah.
It's a huge lake. Yeah, cool.
So when we went there, another interesting thing. So like doing martial arts everywhere I go, every time I go on a trip, whether it be just Bentonville, Little Rock, or even out of state, like
Mhm.
Wisconsin or Arizona, Las Vegas, whenever we go, but we try to find a gym to go to. And boxing is its own art, and there's different styles in that art. And one style that I love is that Mexican style. And so they are heavy hitters. They are pushing forward, and they're gonna take a blow to deliver like five. It's incredible. Like Canelo Alvarez, that kind of style. He's gonna stand in front of you, move his head, and then it's right there. And so we wanted to learn a little bit of that Mexican style. And so whenever we went over there, it was incredible because we found a coach. The coach was actually Canadian, but he had lived in Mexico for 10 years, so he learned from it. And he had been boxing most of his life, and he was a fighter as well. But I did a private lesson with him, and he realized, like, oh, this guy already is a fighter. He's a boxer. He knows what he's doing. So he invited me to go train with some of his other fighters at a different gym the next day. I was like, okay, let's go do that. And keep in mind, everyone's already telling me before I went on this trip, like, oh, they're gonna try and hurt you. It's a dangerous place. Make sure you keep your fanny pack on and so you can see it. They're telling me all these things, like putting fear into my mind. But we put that fear aside and we went. And I don't speak any Spanish. And when we went there, this was not a gym, it was a park. And it just had a pavilion, an open concrete area, and a roof. And they had hung up tires, old heavy bags that were duct taped. The kids sometimes had old they were teaching a kids class at the moment. They had like old MMA gloves, ripped boxing gloves, just whatever they could find. And one of his fighters was teaching them how to box. And these kids did not have much to work with. But let me tell you, those were the most disciplined and focused and technical kids I'd ever seen. I watched them for like 10 minutes, and I knew that what they were learning, they were applying it. They weren't just coming here having fun, hitting the bag. They were learning. And it impressed me how dedicated these kids were. But they didn't have anything to train with. They just had tires and each other. But anyway, after they got done, we're in Mexico. I'm not there to learn with them. Turns out it's just a sparring day. And so I'm going to have to spar with five different guys. And I'm terrified because usually we're on a ring with like mats and protection. If I fall,
Yeah.
I'm
Did you
good.
have your headgear or anything like that?
I did wear headgear, but we're on concrete.
Mhm.
And I've never boxed on concrete. I'm like, oh, snap. Um, long story short, I got to do some very intense sparring with these guys, and we don't speak the same language. So,
Mm.
I'm like getting told, move my head. They're getting told something else in a language I can't understand. And that was a very cool dynamic. But I don't speak any of the language. They can't communicate with me. But afterwards, the fact that we all gave each other a hug and like just got to bond over this boxing.
Hmm.
We all took a picture together. We were hanging out. I follow some of them on Instagram now. They follow me. I don't know their names, can't communicate with them, but it was cool that I got to go to a different country and build that bond and relationship just with boxing.
Yeah. How long were you there?
I was there for like 6 days, and 2 of those days were dedicated to getting to go box.
That's cool. That's cool. I'd really like to go to Mexico sometime. I've been to Bolivia a couple of times, young, on a missions trip, and that I was like 12 and 13 the 2 times I went. It was cool. I'm glad you got to experience that.
It's my
You want
first
to go back?
time. Yeah, dude.
Obi and I are planning a Mexico trip at the end of the year.
Oh, snap.
Going to southern Mexico. Where was it? Oaxaca? Okay. We'll leave. Just in case anyone's listening that would hunt us down, stream snipe us. We'll censor those details.
Is this a boys' trip or a family trip? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So my wife is we're having a kid in the next month to 6 weeks.
Congratulations, man.
So if everything's good at the end of the year and kids all good, everything's good, yeah, we're gonna go. He's got friends there, so it'll be cost effective.
Is that why you're trying to learn some Spanish?
No. So the reason that I'm learning Spanish is because I don't know the exact demographic breakdown, but I'd say let's just say half of the population around here, or 30%, are Hispanic,
Yeah.
or Latinos, and I'd say about half of them don't even speak English. So that's like a big chunk of people that I can't communicate with, and it's really cool to just try to learn Spanish. I mean, it's interesting, man. It's just it's fun. Obi is doing this is the Level Up podcast. And then Obi does the Eleva podcast, which is basically Spanish for level up, basically. Elevate. So we've been getting a lot of Latinos in here and Latinas speaking about their businesses and what they're doing in the community. They do it most of the time in Spanish. But not just be able to connect with more people, really. Yeah.
I remember growing up in Dardanelle, more than half of the population was Hispanic. And so being able to speak Spanish, a lot of the kids I graduate with, they're bilingual.
Mhm.
And that is so useful now. And then you got me, who I took French class and I don't speak a word of French. I was like, I'll just get to go through French. But dude, I really think learning Spanish is the next thing to do. Because in other countries, they learn multiple languages just so they can communicate.
Yeah.
And I think if we limit ourselves, like, we speak English, we should try and stick with English. But the fact that you're trying to learn some Spanish, that's
Yeah.
impressive. It's really good.
No, I think, I've spent my whole life, I took Spanish in high school and stuff like that. Didn't learn much, beyond some basic words. This time around, I've still got, it's gonna be a lifelong journey, right? Like I'm never gonna be like, all right, I've learned Spanish one day, now I know it.
Right.
It's gonna be a process. But what I'll say this time is different because I've made it further than I ever have before, and I've started to realize learning a different language is literally like rewiring your brain in a way. The way that Spanish speakers think is a bit different than the way English speakers think, because if you think about it, our languages is like our societies and cultures programming us how to think, because they give us the words to use, they give us the words. The media gives us feelings to associate with those words. Books do, the culture does. So to learn a different language is literally to learn a different perspective, completely on basically everything, down to the way you think about your basic concepts. So I think that'd be helpful for everybody to learn that your way isn't necessarily the best way, right? I'm not saying that English is better than Spanish or vice versa, But to have that different perspective and realize, okay, there's a lot of people that don't think the same way I think. That's valuable. We live in a world, especially in the States, where you can, and in our current like digital landscape, where you can just harbor up yourself and not be exposed to any new ideas. You can also use that same thing to expose yourself to a ton of new ideas. The internet's kind of like this double-edged sword, but it's so easy to be on that other side of the sword where you're in your safety bubble. You only hear conservative thoughts, you only hear liberal thoughts, you only hear this or that, and you become so like just really driven by fear. Sometimes that's what it leads to, because then you start thinking like, anyone that doesn't think the way I think, how could they do that? They must be evil, right? There must be something wrong here. There must be something trying to. Sorry, I'm on this little rant right now.
No, you're good.
But that's the value of learning another language. Really, it's not about the language. It's about like, okay, you have a new perspective.
So with learning another language, I used to work at Walmart, and I've worked quite a few retail jobs. But when you work at Walmart, there's a lot. I'm not speaking. I probably shouldn't have even said that, but I'm not speaking about the current staff. I'm just speaking about my experience with these 6 people that come to my mind. I'm not
Yeah.
speaking on behalf.
And we don't even know what Walmart you're talking.
Yeah, but we would have a lot of Spanish speakers come through the line, and they didn't know too much English. Maybe they knew hello, maybe they could understand the numbers, but sometimes they'd even bring their kids in there to translate. But the biggest thing I remember about the language barrier being is whenever we as the workers could not communicate with them, almost instantly a big thing that would happen is that we would start treating them as if they just can't comprehend anything. And I say we as in like a lot of these people that I worked with. And they would start being rude to them and almost talking down to them. And exactly like you're saying right now, it's just how our brain has been programmed rather than how their brain has been programmed. Just because we don't speak the same language and might understand things differently, that doesn't mean I should talk down to you at all. That doesn't mean you can't comprehend what's going on. And that's a big issue that I have seen happen a lot because we have this language barrier where I only speak English and you only speak Spanish. Well, you can't comprehend what I'm saying. So clearly, I'm the smartest guy in the room. And that's wrong. That's a big thing that I've noticed a lot.
Yeah.
It's slowly kind of fading away now. But when I was growing up, that was very common to talk down to people that couldn't speak English just because we're in America and they need to speak English. A lot of the people I knew, not everybody, a lot of the people I knew would kind of talk down and
Yeah.
push Spanish speakers to the side. And then I kind of distanced myself from that way of living, but it's still an issue that we face. And so I think that learning a new language, whether it be Spanish or my girlfriend, she's learning sign language, she's learning ASL. And so the fact that I cannot communicate with a deaf person, that doesn't mean that I'm better than them because they can't communicate with me. We need to learn how we can all communicate together. So you learn in Spanish, that's just going to help people. That's not going
No,
to
I
ruin
agree
it.
with you. I don't think this is, and just to clarify for anyone listening, some people can hear what you just said and be like, "Oh man, Howie, he's a white apologist or American apologist." But really, this isn't an issue of that. It's a human issue.
Yeah.
Like for example, we go down to Mexico. There's gonna be some guys down there that we're gonna struggle to communicate with them, and they're gonna think, "Oh man, these guys are idiots." Like it's really a human thing, and it doesn't even have to do with just languages. If you don't hold the same like political viewpoint I hold, or whatever, I could think the same thing about you in that context. Like, man, Howie. Let's just take, he thinks the sea turtles. He doesn't think the sea turtles are about to go extinct. He's a horrible person. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I drink LaCroix. I offered you one before we started. And some people, like literally just me having that drink, you could look at me different for that because it's LaCroix. Like I feel like you hold that drink and immediately some people are going to think, oh, he's a liberal or something like that, right? Yeah, at least I could see that being a viewpoint someone has.
So,
And then these are just languages that we speak, but I'd say martial arts is another language. These are all other languages, and these are languages of the body, right? Learning
oh
that,
yeah.
okay, my body can express itself in this way. That's pretty cool. Like, honestly, I would like to. I told my wife this recently. I would like to learn dance one day, some sort of dance, because like martial arts has given me the perspective, like, wow, man, my body is. I'm learning different ways to use it, and it's really cool. Like the other day, I did a pistol squat on one leg for the first time. I was like, man, I can do that now. Like, I was never been able to do that. My body was unable to before, but now I can. That's cool.
Um, dude, I would love to learn dance. I've gone to. I was in Texas and Billy Bob's Honky Tonk. What's the big, massive one there?
Bucky's.
No, not the gas station. It was a hoedown place. But we were on the dance floor, and I looked like a fool, but I had fun dancing. But I think learning dance would be cool. But a boxer, Lomachenko, he used to do ballet, made him light on his feet, and that helped his footwork. So I would learn dancing, one, just because I like to dance, but two, being able to do stuff with your body is just going to benefit you. So I
Mhm.
would love to learn how to dance, whether it be
Yeah.
if I could break dance or if I can like grab a girl, swing her around and like, I
Yeah.
don't know, do some cool moves and be like, whoa,
Yeah. I'd like to learn some sort of partner dance.
partner dancing.
I
Yeah.
don't know what that would be, but maybe my wife will be down one day when she's not pregnant. She doesn't want to learn right now, understandably. Man, the other day I went hiking in Tennessee. I was in Tennessee learning how to build dirt houses, adobe houses. And I went hiking on the last day up a mountain that was about like 1,700 feet of elevation gain. And the guy I went with, appeared to be in, decent shape and whatnot. And, outdoors guy. By no means he was out of shape. But I guess cardio wise, like I just didn't realize the impact that jujitsu has had on me these past 6 months. Cause I just walked up the mountain, and yeah, I mean, like some parts we took breaks, but he was like dying while I'm like, all right, you ready? And it was entirely from jujitsu. Like I haven't done any really, other than light jogging with my kid. Like I haven't done a ton of other cardio related things. So it does show you that your body, it translates over to a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
The pistol squat. Like who cares about doing a pistol squat? Well, when you go hiking, and you get a high foot on a rock and then you just step up. That's why you'd want to do a pistol squat. Or just
Exactly.
walking across the yard. We have some elevation changes. I'm able to just walk across. So it really does add value to a lot of other areas of your life.
Mm-hmm. Just being able to do like these little things.
Yeah.
And you know what I think is super impressive is I'm not calling anybody out, okay? But our noon class, we have a lot of older guys. I mean, we don't have any like old men walking in canes, but you and I, we're the youngest guys in that room. You're 26,
Yep.
26, I'm 24, and we're in a room with a bunch of guys that, you know, mortgage almost paid off. They got a full line of kids in high school and things
Yep.
like that. We're the youngest guys in the room.
Yep.
And that the fact that they're not old, but that they are still going. They never reach that mindset of like, oh, I'm getting too old for this. Oh, I'm giving out. Maybe I need to
Yeah.
take a break. I think it's cool that at no matter what age you are, there's a reason to not find or to give no excuse. There's a
Yeah.
reason to keep going at whatever age. You know, our buddy Justin, you hear him say this all the time, but people come up to him and be like, man, wait till that age catch up with you. And he's like, it ain't going to catch up with me. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Not me. I'm still waiting for age to catch up with me.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we have people that it's not just a bunch of young guys in there beating each other up. It's people of all ages. We have kids, we have adults, sometimes we have grandparents in there as well. And
Yeah.
they're all in there training. And it just promotes a healthy lifestyle. We're not training for that summer bod. We're training to be able to perform when we get older too. Because fact is, our body is going to deteriorate. We're going to get weaker over time. But how weak are we going to get? Are we going to get so weak that we can't stand up anymore and we can't pick up our kids? Or are we just going to get to a point where I might need a little bit of an extra rest instead of not doing the thing at all?
Yeah. 100%. What you just said there gave me kind of a new perspective on something. When I started working out, year and a half ago, I was kind of chasing, well, not necessarily. One of my goals was like a six pack. I was like, man,
Sure.
I want to get a six pack just to prove to myself I can do it. And I'll be honest, I have not yet gotten that six pack. My body fat hovers about 17%. And yeah, I could. I mean, ultimately, I'm in control, right? Just cut down on calories. Um, but that being said, a six pack to me isn't a current goal because the goal now is like longevity, especially
Hmm.
after that injury. I realized, man, like I was literally, thinking, okay, what if I had paralyzed myself? Like that could happen. Would I still be able to find value in life? I think yes, but I don't want to paralyze myself. So like, let's make sure that I'm still doing this kind of stuff, still able to move, and because I know a lot of like, I was talking to an 85-year-old man the other day, and this dude is decrepit and like can barely walk and can barely hear. And I don't want to be like that. I want to be like the 85-year-old who's doing stuff, going on a run or going on a hike, which I've met 85-year-olds like that too, that
Hmm.
do stuff like that. And the difference is, yeah, I mean, there's some things you can't control, but the difference is they lived a different lifestyle.
Well, he's not my coach. He's taught me a thing or two, but at our gym, this guy will just come in from time to time, and his name is uh, Roland, I believe. And he comes in there and he learned traditional martial arts growing up. He learned Wing Chun, Judo. I don't know the art, but he knows how to use a sword. I see that guy in there swinging a sword in a very legit and
I
proficient
always
way.
wanted to go grab those wood swords and learn to do something, but I
You
don't know.
can. I'll let you. I'll turn my head. Um, but he's just in there. He's like working on the Wing Chun dummy, and he's maybe 5'5", smaller than me. And from time to time, whenever it's just me there, because I clean, I work there, and so when it's just me there, he comes in and he does his stuff, and he will sometimes ask me if I want to learn something. Like absolutely. And this older man will, he's an old man, honestly. Um, he will get me started. He's like, all right, attack me. And whenever we first started, I'd be like, oh, here comes a punch. And he's like, he'll like do some Wing Chun and flip me and sweep me. And that guy has made me fly before. We're at a
What
point
is Wing
now.
Chun?
Wing Chun is
It's like Steven Seagal, just like you touch him and then you flip.
that's Aikido. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Wing Chun is the art of trapping. So it's like parrying, blocking, creating an opening. So Wing Chun is if someone's trying to hit you, you trap their hands, redirect that energy, creating an opening. And so you ever see those wooden poles that have the sticks?
Yeah, there's one on the corner.
Yeah, so that's our Wing Chun dummy, and it's meant to practice these routines and combinations. So it's hard to explain Wing
What
Chun.
does anyone use that stuff over there for? Are there ever any classes or trainings?
So it's kind of a memorial
Hmm.
to I believe Mr. Dean was his name. He was before I was there. I never met him. But you see all those pictures that we have.
Mm.
He was Brian and Cora's coach,
Mm.
and I believe he passed. Well, he did pass. I'm not sure when. I think maybe in 2020. And so he built one of those Wing Chun dummies. And so that place is kind of a memorial. It's a
Mhm.
silent memorial. Like you won't like you didn't know and now I told you. So now you got a little different appreciation for that corner of the room, right? But that is where that comes from. It's almost a memorial. And then Roland, one of our guys, he's not a member or anything, but he comes in. He's got good relation with us. He uses that Wing Chun dummy. So we don't use it for any of our classes that we do there, but it's just meant to kind of represent where we've came from and
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
promote and help other guys out. Like
So he was flipping you with Wing Chun.
this guy was flipping me. He was 5'5", smaller than me. But yeah, we got to a point where I could actually throw a punch at this man's face. He would redirect it and throw me. And I would even try to kick him. And as I would go to kick him, he would knock me over and flip me. And while he's like still controlling my hand and I'm on the ground, he would like replicate a punch. we started where I was just like going with the flow of it's like, oh, cool, that was awesome. But it got to a point where he's like, no, you can attack me, take me down. And I'm doing legit stuff to try and hurt this man.
Mhm.
And he's just making me look like a fool. I wish I could really explain what he was doing. And he tried to show it to me. And he gave me a little bit of an idea of it. But one thing that's really cool about him is like, yeah, he teaches me these moves, but he also teaches me about meditation and how to pray and how to use my body to find peace, not just to be a weapon. You know, I've only worked with this guy like 4 times, but he's just full of physical, mental, and spiritual knowledge. And he's just spitting it out to me. And so one thing he tells me, I can know this stuff all day. And I'm paraphrasing, like, I can know this stuff all day and be proficient at it, but it's all useless unless I pass it down and teach it. And so that's why he likes to share this information with me and just tell me random things, teach me little things, because I kind of view the same thing. It's like I have all this knowledge and skill, but what good is it if I can't share it and help benefit other people?
Yeah. I like that, man. I like that. And it's important to be a lifelong student and also a lifelong teacher. You know, like you're never too young to teach, which clearly you know that because you're doing it already. But there's a lot of people that have a limiting belief that, oh, I can't necessarily teach anything because I'm a white belt, which I'm not saying a white belt should teach anything, but you could, just be like, hey, share, just me talking about this on a podcast in a way is sharing my experience, which really is all teaching is. It's like, hey, I've experienced benefits from it, that may
Exactly.
encourage someone else to get involved. You know what I mean? Anyways, with that being said, we are running out of time on some of our devices. So I want to talk about, your upcoming, we talked about your upcoming fight, but also the opportunity for businesses or groups, organizations to sponsor you because you need that.
Yeah. And so we're going to Las Vegas, and this is a huge deal for me because I've been fighting for a while, and this is an opportunity. This isn't just a IKF fight. This is the World International IKF tournament. So I will be competing for an amateur world title in my division. And so that's a huge accomplishment for me. It could lead to so much more. But we are going to Vegas. And so I ain't got Vegas money. So what we're doing is we're looking for help. And so we're asking sponsors to help me out. And one thing that we're doing is we have a t-shirt, and we're selling spots on that t-shirt to put their brand and their logo on there. And I'm gonna wear this shirt all the time. It's gonna have my name on it too. It's gonna say Howie Baby
You need
on
to
it.
get some nice pictures made. Like there's going
Yeah.
to be a media photo op out there in Vegas. You'll wear the shirt during that. So any businesses that are on that, you're going to get some
They'll get some
some good
recognition.
recognition, some good PR. That then you're going to come home, right? You're going to wear the shirt around
Oh
town.
yeah. Well, and we're selling this shirt too.
Oh yeah,
And so I'll put you on the list for one. You can wear it
sounds
on the
good.
podcast.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But we'll sell this to the community as well as people in our gym. And that's just going to help get their names out there. It's going to help me uh, live out one of my dreams. And so it's a mutual thing. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to partnering up with some businesses. We're looking for local people
Well,
in
Stacy,
Russellville.
Stacy.
Yeah.
I know you're listening to this, Stacy. Hook them up. Figure out what businesses out there through the chamber can get on that shirt. Yeah, I'd love to wear a shirt. How much are you selling them for?
The shirt, I don't know the price of the shirt, but we're selling that spot on the shirt for 150.
Okay.
So, not too much.
No, not at all. I mean, there's a lot of businesses, that will routinely sponsor. Honestly, what I would do is do this or not. I would go look at, go to a restaurant and they have those like football posters up with all the businesses that sponsor it. I guess it's
Yeah.
probably not football season right now. School's pretty much over. But anyways, you can look at the baseball ones. Those are more recent. See what businesses have spots in those, and then just send them anonymously on Facebook later. Send them once this podcast goes out. Send it to me like, hey, you have a sponsorship opportunity, because a lot of them they have budgets set aside just for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to fill that budget up to sponsoring something in their community. So awesome. Is there anything else you want to say about the sponsorships? Anything else you need people to know about?
I'll just kind of say what it's going to help. So we're going to Vegas. I just want when we go to Vegas, that's going to help pay for room, registration, food, transportation. And let me tell you, man, I've already talked with my coach. This is a strict business
Yeah,
travel.
you're not going out to the casinos and
Yeah, we're there.
taking that money to the blackjack table.
No, that is not what we're doing. We're getting there. We're weighing in. We're in the hotel room. We're training. We're recovering. We're fighting. We're coming home. And so, but we are going to be there for about 5 days,
And representing this community.
representing Russellville, Polk County, River Valley, Yale County, everybody representing what we're made of. And so, but sponsoring is going to help with a lot of things. Also, it'll help me to keep training because I go in many places in the state to train. So it'll help me to get more experience. It'll help me to get the proper equipment that I need. It'll overall just help me ensure that belt is coming back to Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
That title
There
is
we
coming
go.
back.
There we go. And how can people get in contact with you? Just through Facebook? Do you have anything set up, an email address you want people to?
So you can get in
people to
touch with
contact
me.
Brian, or get in touch with you. Who's
absolutely.
running the operation?
So Brian Wilson, Force Martial Arts here in Russellville, they're running it. I'm helping with it.
ForsaMMA.com. Scroll down to the bottom. There will be an email there. Instructor at Forsa Martial Arts or ForsaMMA.com. Yeah.
Yes. And then even, getting in touch with me on Facebook or Instagram, Howard Steer on Facebook. It's Howie Baby on Instagram. But getting in touch with me there, we can definitely figure something out. So to be honest, this is also something very new for me. I've never sought out sponsorships. I know a lot of people in the community, but this is a new opportunity for me. So I'm still getting used to it. I'm excited to make it happen. So, but getting in contact with me through Facebook, Instagram, or even Forza Martial Arts, or even my coach, Brian Wilson, getting in touch with us any way can help.
Sounds great. Everyone, thank you for listening. Go support Howie Steer as he goes to Vegas and tries to bring this title back to Arkansas in July.
Yes.
July. So this is coming up pretty soon. So let's get on this, everybody. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.